How's it going, everybody? So it's been a few weeks since Crossplay got introduced. It's time to come to a verdict. Do we like it or do we not? I'll cover 3 separate topics today. First, what I just mentioned, was the implementation of Crossplay a success or was it not? Second, is matchmaking better now? And third, I want to talk about the Blacklist feature that was removed quite some time ago. Alright then, was Crossplay a success? In my opinion, that was never really even a question. But it's not just about my opinion, it's about how the entire community feels. And since I've made quite a few videos about the topic, I've also gotten tons of comments about this. Both negative as well as positive ones. For a live service game to have a big player base and fast matchmaking is a must, and the introduction of crossplay works towards that goal. For Ubisoft, as long as that goal is achieved, was a success for them. And matchmaking times certainly did go down. I'll once again refer to Connor's population summary that I'll link in the description down below. Console obviously has the overwhelming majority, especially when combining PlayStation and Xbox, so it comes as no surprise that my queue times as a PC player, they went down. And the further you go down the MMR ladder, the faster those queue times probably are. And from the feedback I've gotten in my comments, the reception is way more positive than negative. I've had dozens of comments from people that were skeptical at first, that now do not mind crossplay at all, and are happy that it got introduced. While the hardware discrepancy will always be a topic, and I do mean always, we will have this talk for many years to come. Despite all that, many have realized that there are enough bad players on all platforms that the hardware advantage can be mitigated. I have met console stacks, I've won some matches, and I've lost some. While I definitely have to say that console players put on their big boy pants when facing PC players, I don't think it's much of an issue. I can understand that they somehow have to prove something. It's nothing new that consoles are looked down upon a little, no matter the game really. So it's fun to see how happy it makes them when they win a match. Playing the high MMR console stacks also feels completely different than the high MMR PC players. It'll take a while to get used to. Seeing what they think works is sometimes just baffling, and then it works on me and I'm baffled even more. On the other hand, there are also complaints about it, saying it's all unfair. And yes, it is unfair. Hardware differences skew things. Always have, always will. Many things do that actually, and I can understand that some people dislike it so much that they turn the feature off. From you guys, I would like to hear about the queue times, because I haven't really gotten any feedback in that regard. How bad is it? Or maybe it's not bad at all. Please let me know down below, or join my Discord, that works too. But while I think that the implementation of the feature went pretty smoothly, and I can't wait for phase 2 and the resulting scrims between the platforms, or hopefully even mixed teams from all platforms, matchmaking didn't really see the same amount of improvement. With that I mean that we still see matches with vastly different skill levels. I've always been a firm proponent of skill-based matchmaking, and the entertainment value that I get from other games when they argue against it is quite high. Never change Dead by Daylight, never change. It's a free ticket to the circus. But I digress. The problem is when the skill-based matchmaking isn't working, but the game needs it to work. You cannot throw a 30 FPS old-gen player with below 50 reps in the same lobby as a PC comp stack. It should not happen. Never. There's no excuse for this whatsoever. We've had this problem for quite some time now, that the far ends of the skill bell curve somehow get to meet. I had hoped that Ubisoft took the opportunity of an MMR reset to do some fine-tuning to the system itself. I do not know how often and how extensive changes to it happen. They probably don't tell us every time, but I'm sure they do gather data on it regularly. Maybe it's just a thing that some of us perceive as such a big issue since we are part of the aforementioned matches. The middle of the skill bracket and thus the vast majority of the player base probably doesn't run into the issue. If a team gets a couple of wins under their belt and then gets thrown into a match against high MMR players, then that's fine. That's how you sort out Smurf accounts. Just because someone is low rep doesn't mean they're bad at the game. The same goes the other way around. High rep doesn't equal great skill. So if you do find yourself in a match where the opponent just massively outskills you, then this might be because you are on a winning streak and the system is trying to sort you out. But when I watch some of the streams of the top players and they get 5 low skill lobbies in a row, then this just points towards the system being broken. This also isn't the first time that we bring this up, but now it's more relevant than ever. There is a stigma against crossplay from the console side already. Now, if you take these loud, low-skilled players and have them face their worst nightmare, aka a PC stack with players that do react to almost everything, then the attitude towards crossplay can tip the other way quite quickly. Well, how much tipping there is left to do, I guess. There isn't really a lot to learn when you're getting stumped, if there even was the willingness to learn in the first place, but that's a topic for another day. Which brings me to my third point, the blacklist. What I mean with this is that when you leave a lobby after a match, there is a 10-minute blacklist on your previous opponents. That way you won't immediately queue back into the same people. Whatever the reason might be that you don't want to play against them again, that's absolutely irrelevant. This used to be a feature, but it got removed almost, I'd say a year ago or so, maybe even longer. As long as we have a non-functioning, skill-based matchmaking system, this should at least work as a little band-aid. I know we've been requesting to have this back for some time now, and I fully admit that it's not without some self-interest here. Facing a stack of 100 latency players and queuing right back into them is beyond infuriating. I don't think we've ever gotten an explanation of why it was removed. I know it was done deliberately, but I can't come up with a possible explanation myself. Especially now with an increased matchmaking pool, this shouldn't be an issue at all anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much my input about the crossplay implementation so far. Is it perfect? Obviously not, but that's not entirely for Honest's fault. Something that people tend to forget sometimes, many of the factors are out of Ubisoft's hand, and for others, they just seem to disagree with us. For what it's worth, I hope we do see some additional changes to matchmaking in the future, changes that do benefit all of us, even if some kick and scream because they don't know better. You know, the typical toddler. Having said all that though, I hope the video was interesting. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.
Hey, it was dead on my screen too. No. No. There we go.
I did that. Oh.
I'm so glad the slap is like 500 decibels. It really makes you feel the beat of it.